Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is the topic of, will we ever have a new golden age for movies? So for this video, I'm going to explain in a simple and straightforward way the topic of, will there ever be a new golden age of movies, just like how people say movies from like the 1950s to the 1990s were like the greatest movies ever. You know, will we ever have an era that good again? Is what I'll be discussing for this video in a simple and straightforward way so anyone can understand it. So now that I've mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of will we ever have a golden age of movies, I absolutely believe it's possible. Like anything, we don't know if it will happen or not, but I definitely think it's possible. And the reason why I believe it's possible, we could have a golden age of movies, is that nowadays we have something that people didn't have back in the days, which can make it possible, which is something known as a niche audience. Now, a niche audience just simply means, or in other words, the internet, which obviously through the internet, you can create a niche audience, so you can create something meant in the way you want it to be created, okay? You can make something come out the way you want it to, okay? If you like movies with a good plot, you can make movies for that specific audience that will be like that, okay? That specific niche audience. If you want a movie that has good action scenes, you can do that with that specific niche audience. If you have a movie that has a good balance between action and plot, you can do that, and if you are interested in certain themes, like maybe adventure themes, like exploring the world and all that stuff, you can do that, all these things and more, with a specific niche audience. You find a select group of people who like things in a way that would obviously cater to you, a specific niche audience of people, specifically to sum it up, people who want something of good quality is what this niche audience, is what these type of things will be meant for this niche audience, and you can make things for them, people actually are connoisseurs, we're not even connoisseurs, we just want something decent quality, okay, and not just want stuff for something that's okay, you can make something for that specific audience, okay, so that's all the truth. So, in short, to sum it up, with the internet, there's so many people online, there's so many different types of people. Because there's so many people online, I'm certain you can find a group of people that share your interest for good quality stuff when it comes to movies. And obviously, you can obviously have feedback, not only, feedback from the community, whether they're the creators, like the ones making the movies, or they're the ones actually, of course, no shit, consuming the media, and of course giving their advice, was this good or was this not, how can it improve, when it comes to movies they're watching. So yes, I definitely do believe there definitely could be a golden age for movies again. So to just simply say, oh, that's a pass, movies are never going to be good again, and blah 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 blah, I just believe it's outdated, because you can, just like how people in the past could create something with quality, you can create something with quality today. You can decide to make a movie just as easily without the annoying, stuff they put in it, and a movie that actually makes sense nowadays if you just decide you want to. It's just that the question is, would you have an audience? And that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. So in short, yes, I definitely highly do believe it is possible for there to be a golden age. I just think the truth of the matter is, you just have to find the right people and organize it and set it up, okay? Which is something I definitely am a high believer, okay? So the other thing I just want to mention, aside from that, which just makes me also believe there could be a golden age again for movies. So movies can be good as they were many years ago, even better, which is what I'm getting to now, is that we also have to realize that knowledge compared to how movies was made in the 1990s I'm certain we can find ways to speed up production of things, okay, for like movies and stuff. Because the thing is, since technology has improved so much since then, and also knowledge has improved, there are better and more effective techniques to make something of good quality faster than something that was made back then, like up to the 1990s going back, and all that stuff, okay? Knowledge has improved significantly since those days, okay? So as a result of it improving, I am certain there is, due to their better techniques, we don't have to worry as much about the whole quality versus quantity argument, okay? Yes, it will always be there, but it won't be as bad as it is now. Like if you want a movie that's really good, you don't have to wait years for it to come out. You can potentially maybe just wait maybe 7, 10 months, okay, for the for it to be produced. Okay, knowledge has improved significantly since those days. Which I even talk about in my channel, like the idea of having a reference sheet, so you don't have to waste your time, like looking, just sitting there in front of a piece of paper trying to come up with an idea, which is how most people come up with ideas for things. You can have a reference sheet that makes it easier, that gives suggestions of things you can look at, and then you just figure it out, and there's just, even aside from that, there's better techniques that have come out to make it easier for you to figure out, like, how you want the movie to progress from the beginning, middle, to the end of it. Okay, the world has progressed significantly since the past. Okay, so to think that that it would take a very, very long time is just outdated, and is just simply a concept that I don't think really matters anymore. Because no matter how creative you are, everything that you can imagine has been done at some point. Okay, in some way at least. Even when it comes to the things that happen in movies. Okay, so you can obviously you can even possibly use a reference sheet for the things that happen in a movie. The way you want it to. At least roughly speaking. So to sum things up, I don't think it should take as long, because the idea of coming up with an idea is not like it was many, many, many years ago. Okay, there's much more knowledge and techniques to speed up the production of coming up with an idea for a movie, which the hardest part and the longest part of coming up with a movie is coming up with the actual idea. In other words, a script of the movie, the overall plot, script, whatever you like to say. The acting and getting people to do that stuff is the shortest and easiest part. The hardest part is coming up with an idea, and there is knowledge to kind of speed up production. So in short, yes, I definitely believe it's possible. Okay, so that's my point right there. Now, just to finish this video up, even aside from that, why I believe there could be a new world for movies, is that we also have to realize, even aside from the points I was making before, we can use the internet, we can also define like kind of people, so we don't have to rely on the main industry. We can also, of course, realize there's techniques to speed up things quicker. The third thing to also add to that is that also, because so much time has passed since that golden age from 1950s to 1990s, we can also take in consideration that, as well, just to add to that, that due to that, we have a lot more knowledge on what makes a movie good. In other words, because even when you look at those movies in the past, there's a lot of tropes and a lot of cliches that are actually kind of lame in today's world. Okay, when it comes to the dynamics of like how the movie progresses and how it plays out, and all that type of stuff. So to sum things up in general, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay, there's a lot of the knowledge of how to make a movie good and how to avoid old tropes and boring stuff that actually might kind of ruin a movie and go like, okay, I've seen a movie where this played out a million times. It has evolved, has of course changed since then. There's new things we can add to make sure there's not as much cliches and so on and so forth. and just in general ways to make the movie more interesting and not as boring. In other words, um, we can develop new methods to make the movie interesting instead of outdated methods to help produce a more enjoyable movie. So as a result, the movies will be better than it was during the golden age of movies. As we are creating a new golden age, and not just a new golden age for movies, but a better one, and that's the truth. So anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say. And simply put, if you like this video, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And that's all I have to say. And simply put, I'm out. So bye.